Have you ever stared at your notes, knowing the deadline is looming, but feeling an overwhelming mental block that makes opening the textbook feel physically impossible? Maybe you are tired. Maybe your phone is a constant siren call of distractions, or perhaps the sheer volume of material makes you want to retreat under the covers. This universal experience of procrastination is often mistaken for a lack of discipline or a failure of willpower. We tell ourselves we just need to try harder, be stronger, or find more motivation. But the truth is, motivation is a fickle emotion. It comes and goes, and relying on it to complete critical tasks is a recipe for anxiety and failure. When you consistently put off studying, time flies by, the work piles up, and the inevitable cycle of guilt, stress, and underperformance begins. This is not a moral failing. It is simply your brain resisting a high-effort, low-immediate reward activity. Willpower is a limited resource, and if you deplete it fighting yourself every single day, you will eventually lose. The real secret to forcing yourself to study effectively, even when motivation is completely absent, is to stop relying on willpower and start using intelligent psychological systems. We must implement proven mental levers designed to bypass the brain's natural resistance to work. We have broken down 8 highly effective science-backed strategies that turn studying from a painful battle of wills into a manageable, system-driven process. These techniques are designed to trick your brain into starting, maintaining momentum, and locking in productive habits. The first psychological lever is to reset your stimulation threshold by intentionally embracing boredom. In our modern world, our brains are constantly bathing in high dopamine inputs. Every notification, every scroll, and every instant reward elevates our baseline level of required stimulation. When you try to transition from this state to studying, a comparatively low dopamine activity, your brain registers it as painful and boring. It immediately seeks the high dopamine escape route. To counteract this, you must temporarily remove all high dopamine distractions. Put your phone in another room, turn off the television, and sit in quiet solitude for 10 to 15 minutes. This period might feel uncomfortable, even frustrating. But this intentional boredom is crucial. It allows your dopamine receptors to reset, making the act of studying less repulsive by comparison. More importantly, this quiet time forces internal reflection. Use this opportunity to connect with your intrinsic motivation. Ask yourself, why am I doing this work? Is it to achieve a specific career goal? Is it to gain true mastery over a subject? By connecting the task to a deep personal why, the discomfort of starting fades, and you access a more robust, powerful form of internal drive. This is not just a study trick. It is a fundamental shift in how your brain perceives effort versus reward. Next, we overcome the inertia of starting with the 2-minute rule. The single hardest part of any major task is the initial commitment. Psychologists refer to this barrier as activation energy. The emotional discomfort associated with starting is often far greater than the discomfort of actually doing the work. This is why we clean the kitchen or organize our socks instead of opening the textbook. To neutralize this activation energy, you must make the commitment so ridiculously small that your brain cannot logically object. The rule is simple: commit to working for only 2 minutes. Do not commit to finishing the chapter, writing the essay, or studying for 2 hours. Just commit to the micro-action. Tell yourself you will only read the first sentence or you will only write the title of the paper. By making the initial step trivial, you trick your brain into initiating action. Once the momentum begins, once you have overcome the initial inertia, it is psychologically much easier to continue than it is to stop and reset. You will often find yourself continuing well past the 2-minute mark, not because of willpower but because the system successfully launched the engine. Your third critical strategy is to leverage the power of small wins for an immediate positive feedback loop. When facing a massive study load, the human brain tends to focus on the end goal, which can feel impossibly distant. Starting with the hardest topic first guarantees early failure, which triggers negative emotions and a desire to quit. Instead, structure your study sessions like a warm-up. Begin with a low-stakes, simple task that you know you can complete quickly and successfully. This could be organizing your notes, reviewing flashcards from a previous unit, or summarizing the introduction of a chapter you already read. Each completed mini-task signals immediate progress to your brain. This release of dopamine, often called the progress principle, fuels confidence and makes the next task, even if it is harder, feel more achievable. Think of it as stacking small, guaranteed successes to build the mental fortitude required for the deep, complex work that follows. This method ensures that the first 20 minutes of your session are spent achieving, not struggling. If intrinsic motivation is proving difficult to access, your fourth lever is to introduce external stakes through strategic gamification. Humans are intensely competitive, and we respond powerfully to external pressures, particularly the fear of loss. This taps directly into the psychological principle of loss aversion, which suggests that the pain of losing something is twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining something equivalent. Turn your study session into a game. If you have a study partner, challenge them to a timed race. Who can finish a specific problem set first, or who can memorize 20 terms most accurately? The crucial element is the consequence. Make the loser buy the winner coffee or agree to complete a mildly embarrassing dare. If you study alone, use a tool like a goal tracker that requires you to pay a small sum of money to a friend or charity if you fail to meet your preset study goal for the day. By introducing a tangible, immediate stake that you risk losing, the brain is motivated by the fear of failure, which often proves a much more reliable trigger than the abstract promise of a good grade months away. The fifth technique is environmental hacking to break negative associations. Our brains are highly contextual. If you always procrastinate at your desk, your brain has created a strong association between that specific location and the feeling of avoidance. Trying to study there requires fighting that deeply ingrained neural pathway. The solution is simple but effective. Change your location. Move to a different room, visit a library, or work in a quiet park. This novel sensory input breaks the negative association and signals to your brain that it is entering a new mode of operation. You are essentially providing your brain with a blank slate, making it easier to establish a focused, alert state. For those who need absolute focus, consider creating a designated deep work spot that is used for nothing else. No scrolling, no eating, no entertainment. This trains your brain to instantly enter a state of high concentration the moment you sit down. Strategy number 6 is the implementation of structured time blocks, most famously known as the Pomodoro technique. Trying to study for 3 continuous hours is a recipe for mental fatigue and burnout. Our capacity for high-quality, focused work is limited, and trying to stretch it too thin leads to inefficiency and distraction. The Pomodoro technique structures work into focused sprints. Work for 25 minutes followed by a mandatory 5-minute break. This system provides 2 massive psychological benefits. First, the short 25-minute block creates an artificial deadline, forcing concentration because the end is always in sight. Second, the guaranteed 5-minute break prevents decision fatigue and allows for mental decompression. Research shows that these structured breaks actually improve memory consolidation and sustained focus over long periods. The key is strict adherence. When the timer goes off, stop immediately, regardless of where you are in the work, and use the break to fully disengage. When the 5 minutes are up, the system demands you return to work, removing the need for internal negotiation. The 7th psychological sprint involves cognitive reappraisal to fuel your effort. It is inevitable that during any long study session you will encounter moments of frustration, self-doubt, or boredom. Do not let these negative emotions paralyze you or lead to quitting. Instead, reframe them. Cognitive reappraisal means consciously changing the way you think about an emotion-inducing situation. When you feel frustrated, instead of thinking, "This is too hard, I should quit," reframe it as, "This frustration is proof that I am engaging with a challenging problem and overcoming it will make me stronger." Use the energy of that negative feeling as fuel. If you have been doubted by others, or if you feel the pressure of your own high expectations, visualize the success that will come from this effort. Focus not on the immediate pain, but on the future self, who will be grateful that you pushed through this specific moment of difficulty. This mental shift transforms passive draining negative emotions into active, goal-directed energy. Finally, we must lock in the habit loop with smart contingent rewards. Relying on motivation to start is unreliable, but relying on rewards to build a habit is highly effective. This is the core principle of operant conditioning: behavior that is rewarded is repeated. To build a lasting study habit, the reward must be contingent. It must be conditional upon the completion of the desired behavior. Set a clear contract with yourself. After I complete 2 full Pomodoro blocks, I earn 20 minutes of video games. Or, after I finish this chapter summary, I can have that favorite snack. Crucially, you must only reward the completed work, never the intention to study or the act of simply sitting down. This forges a powerful mental link. Effort leads to immediate, positive payoff. This payoff trains your brain to associate the uncomfortable act of studying with a desirable outcome, making the task easier to initiate the next time. Ensure your rewards are time-limited and non-destructive to the habit, such as a short walk or a brief social media check, rather than a reward that derails your focus entirely. Remember, forcing yourself to study is not about enduring mental torture or possessing superhuman willpower. It is about applying intelligent psychological architecture to your routine. It involves managing your dopamine baseline, overcoming inertia with micro-commitments, structuring your time into focused sprints, and strategically rewarding the effort itself. Studying effectively is not a talent reserved for the motivated few. It is a skill built through systems and discipline. By implementing these 8 levers, from embracing boredom to locking in contingent rewards, you develop the mental toolkit necessary to show up and make significant progress regardless of how you feel in the moment. Your future success is not dependent on inspiration. It is dependent on action. Implement one of these strategies today and take control of your productivity. If this breakdown helped you understand the mechanics of motivation and procrastination, subscribe for more world-class breakdowns on optimizing your mind and performance. Share this video with a friend or colleague who could also use this framework. Now go make yourself proud.